Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio.
Ed, welcome to another edition of us watching Sex and the City. Yes, this is my 50th time, while this is Annie's first time. And today, it is the day. We finally have done what we have been saying we are doing. We are with a friend of the show / listener who actually decided to suffer with us and watch with us. Jasmine. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
All right, I'm going to give a minute or a second or however long you need. Can you introduce yourself to the other listeners?
Sure. My name is Jasmine. I also go by Jay. I've been living in New York for almost 20 years, and I do write, and I'm hoping to write for a living type of thing.
I love it. Yes, that means you are a writer, point blank. There's no caveats to that.
Yes.
And now we have more friends in New York. So when we come again, we can hang with you, right? Can we be friends in real life?
Of course. Yes. Yeah, of course.
I'm so excited. And yes, we are back and we are actually going to sit down to watch another episode of Sex and the City. We are, slowly catching up with all that. Jasmine, can you tell us your level of Sex and the City knowledge and or maybe not, all the things?
Okay, sure. So I did not start watching the show until after it aired. I remember back in the day, my grandmother had TV Guide. And I remember seeing Sex and the City and I was like, ooh, dirty. And then when I went to college, I saw one episode of Sex and the City. And I won't say which one it was, but it kind of solidified my choice of living in New York. And then I moved to New York and didn't really watch the show. I kind of caught the reruns on the CW. And then I caught reruns on E! They had a ladies who lunch marathon. And then it wasn't until a couple of years later, I actually decided, I said, hey, I have HBO. Let me watch the show from the beginning to the end. Oh, also, for some reason, I watched season 6 before because the library had the DVDs of season 6 and only season 6. And then I watched both of the movies. So I watched season 6 and the movies before I watched the whole thing. So I didn't actually start watching the show until 2017. And then I was like, oh, this is great. Especially because on regular TV, they censor so much stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, I see.
That makes more sense.
And then I got onto Reddit and I was like, oh, I found my people. We're just talking about the show and things like that. And then last year, I discovered this woman actually had a Substack where she answers all of Carrie's questions in her column. And it's very popular. Unfortunately, she doesn't write very often. And so I thought, oh, let me do the same thing, but from the perspective of a Black woman. And so I have a Substack about Sex and the City. I'm trying to have it come out once a week to be more consistent. I actually just published one this morning. I'm only 4 episodes in. And so it's this is going to be very exciting because there's so many episodes and then there's the movies and then there's the reboot.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of material to work with.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that perspective so much. So we are definitely calling you the resident expert for stuff I've never told you. Because I knew this as a hobby and you are answering the questions that, it needs the answers. Do we ever really get an answer from Carrie? No, she just leaves it in the air and a lot of lingering, why would you do this to yourself, Carrie, type of moments.
Yes.
Right? All right. Well, with that, I did need to ask this because I didn't send you a quiz. I should have. I'm really ill-prepared. I've come ill-prepared. But which character would you say you would be most like in Sex and the City?
Oh, man.
I know. I had to pop up on you on that one. Sorry.
It's so funny. I just answered that question on the subreddit yesterday. but I kind of answered all four.
Oh.
I feel like I'm most like Samantha in the sense of Samantha doesn't really care too much about gender roles. And she sees something and she goes after what she wants, and she's not afraid about going after, and she's not ashamed of it. Even if what she's after is a married man. She's not afraid of taking risks. And I feel like the older I get, the more I'm very much like, yeah, if I see something, like more so pertaining to like career goals and things like that, I'm not like afraid of going after it.
Love that. Love that so very much.
Yeah.
Well, we are very glad to have you on. And as tradition for happy hour, first and foremost, if anybody is partaking, please do so responsibly. All of the things we're talking about are not current sponsors. Things can change. Who knows? But with that, I have to ask, ladies, Anney, are you sipping on anything right now?
Yes. It's Valentine's Day as we record this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
So I have my red wine.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's coming
Happy
in full.
Valentine's Day, everybody.
I love this.
Happy Valentine's Day.
The beginning of our friendship day is Valentine's Day. We're putting this as a big marker. Okay? This is going to be our friendiversary too. What about you, Jay? What are you drinking? Can I call you Jay? I just realized you said a lot of people do, and I just immediately did it without permission. So I apologize.
Jay is fine.
Okay.
I'm currently sipping on a traditional medicinals throat coat tea. It's like my
Taking care of
favorite
yourself.
tea.
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, we're
Get
recording.
your voice ready. Yep.
Yes.
Yes, you're so more professional than us. Typically, I drink that with the citron. I've really started digging citron with the throat coat. It's nice added. Just a Asian tip on that one. But for myself, I'm just drinking some bubbly water because once again, I am also an irresponsible, not sleepy individual because wine makes me sleepy now. All the drinks make me sleepy except for apparently water. And with that, Anney, I'm going to give you the chance. Can you give us a review of what has happened in season 3 thus far?
This is so much easier than the last episode because we literally just recorded this episode like 2 days ago. So this has been a whole season where Carrie is with what it seems like a healthy relationship with Aiden, but is back with her ex Big, who is married to Natasha. And so she's cheating on Aiden, pushed Natasha down the stairs, kind of accidentally sent her to the hospital. And now, in the most recent episode, revealed what she had done to Aiden at one of her best friend's weddings. And he is like, I am done. So that's where we are with her. Charlotte, said best friend, just got married to Trey after learning that maybe sexually they might not be compatible. We'll see. But she did get married. Miranda broke up with Steve, who it sounded like they were happy together, but it didn't work out. And then in the most recent episode, she realized that a lot of men didn't want to date her because she's like a powerful lawyer, I guess, and they felt intimidated by it. And then, as I always say, Samantha was doing her Samantha thing.
Yeah.
She's like impossible to kind of... She's like a one-off in every episode. She's got something different going on. But yes.
There you go. You also have one more prediction, which is either brunch or club. Which one is it?
I keep messing this up. I've really lost my game on this one. I'm going to say club.
Club. Okay.
I feel like brunch has let me down the past few times.
All right. I like it. There is the correction. Carrie did not push Natasha. Natasha was chasing. You did.
Yes.
I did say that, but
she's not that vindictive. Like there's no need to push anybody. She fell on her own.
Murder her.
I don't want people to think that we are advocating for pushing of the other. Don't do this. With that, Jay, do you have any ads that you can think of before we talk about Annie's predictions?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right. I like it. And Anney did a good job. She does really well. We did just recently watch the other episode, so she is a little more familiar and ready for that part. Okay, Anney. So with this episode title, are you ready for it? Which is season 3, episode 13, Escape from New York. Do you have any predictions? Oh, I forgot. You added the brunch thing already. I was ahead on that one. Or the club.
Yeah, okay. Like I said in the previous episode, I'm pretty sure it's like Charlotte's honeymoon. They're gonna leave, obviously, New York. That's also a movie that I haven't seen, so I feel like there's probably a reference I could get if I had seen that movie.
Oh, Escape from New York. Yeah.
But I haven't. So I'm just gonna say we've got a broken up Carrie, who's like the pieces of her life. We've got Charlotte, who's just married. They're going to travel somewhere. That's what I think. That's it.
All right. I'm not giving you points for traveling somewhere. That is not a point adding. No, ma'am.
She's so stingy with the points, Jay.
No, ma'am. That does not count. Just because. I mean.
I just realized what episode we're about to watch.
Yes.
And this is literally the first episode that I ever watched that made me realize that I am going to move to New York. I won't say anything else until afterwards.
That's
so it's like a full circle moment.
I love everything about this moment between the Galentine, between you coming on, and the episode. This is perfect. I love it.
Yes.
Well, let's see. Let's jump in.
I decided it was time for a change of scenery, and I wasn't alone.
I can't believe you're all going to LA without me.
Immediately brunch. Anney's already wrong. She's not doing well already.
Have you ever gone on like a breakup trip with somebody?
I have been the friend.
I had a friend where I went to a cabin.
I'm not going to name her because never mind. But I used to, every breakup, we would go somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And for a while, I really love those trips.
It's kind of fun.
Come on, let's get the check and go to Barney's. I can't possibly go to Los Angeles without another pair of shoes.
No.
Go to Barney's.
You go.
Can I ask you, when you started watching Sex and the City, did you start getting more into like the fashion line, or were you already probably there, or just no?
I am not a fashion person just yet. I think it was just more so like growing up, I was like, I'm either going to move to New York or I'm going to move to LA. And I saw this episode and I said, yep, it's New York. And now it's like, maybe the other place.
Okay. I love this.
There was supposed to be 3 reservations.
The production company only requested 2 rooms, and I'm afraid we're all booked up.
She's from New York.
I understand.
My mom definitely believed that. She was like, oh, they curse all the time.
Maybe I was told the other day that they thought I was from New York, and I was like, why? Because I have an accent, and it's definitely not New York. And I was like, is it because I curse a lot? Maybe because I curse a lot.
So what do you do when you're not working as a one-man welcome wagon?
I'm a dildo mod.
You wouldn't tease a girl, would you?
A dildo
Really, I'm
model.
the number 2 selling model in the U.S. Number 1 in Canada. My dick's bigger in Canada.
Gotta love that metric system.
A lot of these jokes went over my head with that metric system. I was like, what? And I was in college, so it shouldn't have.
So, big news. I have a star interested. Guess who?
Drew Barrymore?
No? Guess.
I'm really not good with the celebrity names.
Oh, guess.
I do this a lot where I just badger people into guessing.
Something girl?
One time it went around for like 2 hours.
They never guessed.
They never guessed.
Matthew McConaughey.
So we have Matthew McConaughey. So this was when Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey had a movie.
Oh, Failure to Launch?
Yes. And they were coming out together.
I don't know how I knew that. My brain was like somewhere back here.
I didn't remember. So this is our guessing game where I remember vague details and Annie tries to get the actual names right. And she usually does. And I'm just like, yeah, that's it.
When visiting LA, there are 2 things you simply must do. 1 is rent a fabulous car. 2 is learn how to drive it.
You said you knew how to drive a stick. Well, I did a couple of times in a parking lot.
Another reason why I decided to move to New York, I've been spoiled by the public transit system.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
It's a nice, like every time we go, I'm like, why can't we?
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine living other places because I'm like, I'm gonna have to drive. Like, I haven't driven a car since 2008. And people outside of New York, when they ask me why, I'm like, because I live in New York, I don't need to drive.
Right.
And parking's expensive.
Very expensive.
Also, don't rent a stick shift if you don't know how to drive it.
Well, one time I was in France and we rented not a stick shift, and they're like, "Oh, we have a stick shift," and I was like, "But that's not what we rented," and they're like, "Too bad."
We're all in trouble.
So guess what? We get stuck on a hill. Everyone's mad at us, and we're like, "We didn't ask for
They're screaming stupid Americans as they're driving by you.
A very nice lady got out and like helped us.
Oh,
she was wonderful. If you're listening, I know you're not, but thank you. You saved us.
How do we get your column to translate to the silver screen? And I think I've got the answer. Now, what if we flush out the central relationship?
This is also one of like my favorite scenes.
I like his stance.
everything about this is so like over the top.
Yes. It feels like they were like, Matthew McConaughey, play Matthew McConaughey.
And exactly, that's exactly what you get. In Hollywood, too. Like, it has to be very specific.
Look at him. I mean, he is such a great guy. I mean, I don't know anybody any cooler than Mr. Big. My only question, really, is what the is Carrie's problem?
You know? Carrie's problem, obviously. Obviously. To Carrie.
I don't particularly think it was just her problem, because actually he had some commitment issues.
That's bullshit, Carrie, and you know it.
I would have started crying. I think I'm not emotionally stable for this yelling at me.
I love that line so much. I say it more times than I care to admit.
In the same, like, yelly.
Yes.
I love it.
I might substitute for my name instead of Carrie, though, but the same sentiment.
Is that yourself? That's worse. You're like,
I kind of love it, though.
That's amazing.
I can't believe how open and high I have sexist places. In New York, sex is so bottom shelf paper bag.
Exactly. It's all hidden, like me.
Okay, definitely a party. I think you're gonna have to add party to your
my
predictions, like either brunch, party, or club. And party can be like release parties because they do a lot of like book release or debut stuff. So.
I feel like I'd just say party like every time, but we'll see. I'll workshop it.
You do that. You do that.
Who cares? I'm on vacation. I want to get laid. I admire women who can just put it right
I'm on
out
vacation.
there.
I want to get laid. I've seen too many movies. You get kidnapped or at least drugs get planted on you or something when you do stuff like that. I've seen those movies.
That would be a dark take of Sex and the City, but
Don't go.
I have to go. They flew me out here. I'm their little writer monkey.
Well, I've got something to make you feel better.
no.
Oh, dildos before 10 a.m.
no.
All hooked up.
They're autographed, one for each.
Why?
They're autographed.
Just why?
I do have a good friend who gave me a dildo for a birthday once, and I was like, Wow.
See, that freaks me out. Like, sure. Like vibrators and all the such, you do you. The ones that had like the rabbit, the infamous rabbit, thanks to Sex and the City being huge. But like that's too much. I don't need a replica, silicone replica.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Meanwhile, back in New York and still no closer to being input by Trey, Charlotte addressed thank you notes.
Oh, the stamps, licking of the stamps. That's been a long time. Do they still exist, the stamps that you have to lick?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I mailed my mom a Valentine's Day card the other day.
And you had to lick a stamp? I have the ones that's already pre-sticky.
Oh, that's nice.
I think, Anney, you've bought something back.
They're like ancient stamps. They don't even work. They'll never get to my mom.
I'm thoroughly confused where you got these now.
They were in my stack of stamps. I don't know.
How long have you had them? Because even in booklets, they're pretty sticky.
Yeah.
They're Scooby-Doo stamps,
I'm not wrong, right? Okay.
And far away, Charlotte was dealing with Trey's soft side as well. She decided she was going to get some answers. So she came to bed, armed with love.
Oh, I forgot the scene. I forgot the scene.
Oh my God.
She wrapped his penis.
She went to sleep hoping her mail had sufficient postage to deliver his package into her box.
With lickable stamps. That sounded weird. With stamps you have to lick. That's even weirder.
That doesn't make sense.
To everyone, the way I just said that.
We weren't sure if it was the California climate or the 5 Lone Star beers she drank, but as soon as she got on that bowl, Miranda escaped. Miranda.
I had a friend, and this is going to sound really weird, but she had one of these in her home.
Wait. What? I wasn't ready. Did you say she had one in her home? Yeah. Like she purchased one for her home?
No, this is when I was young. So she was a kid. It wasn't her that had it, but her family had one in her home.
I mean, you are from like North Georgia. So
that's true.
Not terribly out of context.
Okay, so Anney, you did get the club. We're gonna give you. Jasmine's giving you the club, so we're gonna give you that. You're not getting points for the leaving New York bit.
I feel like the escape theme where I stumbled was they were all trying to escape something.
Yes, specific. I will give you a B. I will give you a B+ for this one. Yes. You did pretty well. Of course, you were not going to find anything about. There's no way to know that there's going to be a whole dildo porn industry conversation here. So, all that you did, because you also said that it was her leaving the behind situation with Aiden and Big. So that was big ups. Jasmine, would you agree with my scoring, or would you change that?
I think I would go with that. All
right, you have the official counsel giving you the B+.
Official counsel.
Thank you.
I love this. So this was the one episode you said that really cemented that you wanted to move to New York. What was it about this episode?
I think it was because I grew up thinking like, oh, New York is very serious and LA is very like superficial. And I feel like this episode kind of reinforced that, especially like the coming episodes kind of like reinforced that. And so I said, oh, without going to either place, I was like, oh, I'm definitely just going to live in New York.
Oh. And you've been there and you love it, I'm assuming.
I do. Not a fan of the cold though, still.
We talked about this already. I'm like, I don't like cold. But yeah, I could see that because it is very different. The scenes that we see, the way that people roll, the conversations that Carrie has. Of course, I could be anywhere in actuality. It could be here in Atlanta because, right now Atlanta has a pretty big film industry. And I feel like it's who you talk to, especially like we've run into a lot of like talent agents and such. They talk like that here in Atlanta. I feel like the backstabbing, obviously we also curse a lot.
Yeah. Samantha, especially.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Hey, your other co-host, Lauren, also curses a lot. She's just cuter about it until she gets mad.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I think it's great. It's just shocking because you can't predict it.
You can't predict her cursing. But I love that because New York definitely, like we've talked about Sex and the City, it is a love letter to New York. With all of the craziness, with all of the drama, it is a love letter.
Yeah. So as you watch it now, versus like in the past when you've watched it, are there things that just feel so New York to you when you watch it? Or you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yes. I would say particularly with Carrie, she is not afraid of exploring New York. And even though a lot of the places that the show featured like no longer exist, it's still very like compared to maybe the reboot or like recent shows, and it might have more to do with like with COVID than like other things, but the show feels like you're definitely in New York versus like insert generic other big city. Like it feels like you are in New York, whether it's like the hustle and bustle of a bar or a club, or even if they're like outside, it just feels like New York. And then like, especially Carrie feels like she embodies New York. And so, yeah, whenever I kind of like, if I rewatch the show, there's like certain scenes where it's like, it's New York and I'm here. That's so cool.
Yeah. So contributor to the show, Joey, they also live in New York, and they've talked about they have just started watching Sex and the City. So we had them on to do an episode as a new viewer. So they've never seen it before, and they live in Brooklyn now. And they were talking about the fact watching it was like, oh my God. Oh, yeah, that is very like even till to today, to newer viewers, younger viewers, they still relate to be like, this is so New York in its essence. And I'm like, yes. I love that because you don't too often see that level of the fact that a place or a city is a main character as well.
Yes.
And it makes it so much more like enticing. There is something that urges you to go to New York, to have brunch. Not necessarily clubbing. I don't do the clubbing part, but the brunch. Hell yeah to the brunch.
Yeah, we often talk about how New York is the fifth character in the show because it's just so prominent in the show.
It is. I don't think we have it yet, but soon we will have the day that she has a date with her city. Carrie has a date with her city.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I love her interaction getting some matzo ball soup. Like that's probably one of my favorite interactions in the show.
I will say one of the locations that she goes to, one of my friends actually worked there.
Oh.
And I met him there and I was like, oh my God, I'm standing in the lobby of the same place that Carrie was. Oh my God.
See, this is why I say you're the expert now for the show. For sure. Like you have stood there and you know where you're standing and how big of a deal. Because Carrie has made, like, the show really did push, like, not only, like, New York City has its own thing, and, like, it was always, like, big touristy, but there was a level that Sex and the City brought, not just to the fashion world, but to different places in New York that really made it an icon, made it historic. That stoop was one of those, we talked about that earlier, and stuff like that. And you were saying that she has a store very close to the stoop / where her brownstone is supposed to be. That's amazing. And coincidentally, nobody believes that.
Yeah, she's just like, oh, that just happens. And like the Village is like one of the more expensive neighborhoods. And she's like, oh, that just happened to be like the cheapest spot in the neighborhood. I'm like, okay.
There's no way. There's no way. ma'am, there's no way. Yes, we also had two of the guest celebrities. We already talked about Matthew McConaughey and Sarah Michelle Gellar and both of their like primes. Obviously, this was during the time that I think honestly, was it during this time that Sarah Jessica Parker was starting to become executive producer and really like having big roles? Obviously, she was a star, but like behind the scenes roles as well. I think she started taking that on more and more. And so her movie career was coming back round at this point. I think she did Family Stone around this time too, right? So a lot of good stuff. We have made it. She and the girls have made it outside of New York to LA. Obviously, a lot of things happening. They're still currently in LA. Anney, do you have predictions of what you think is coming?
Well, clearly they go back to New York. So this whole LA thing doesn't work out.
She's learned her lessons in many of these.
I'm trying to get better at it. One day. I think it's got to have a dramatic season finale. I think kind of because I know it comes in later seasons that Big is going to come back. I don't know. I don't know if this production is going to happen at all or if it was just a good set piece to have her question her whole life.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I mean, it was pretty good set piece. That's for sure. She's going to have to, Carrie's going to have to do a lot of introspection, and I just feel like Big is going to come back. But I don't know. I have no good predictions. All
right. We won't put you on too much more on the spot. But yeah, it looks like there's 20 episodes in the last season that split into 2. And then season before that's on like 8. They had like all over the place. So
it's kind of all over.
Yeah, it's all over the place. These, like the season 2 and 3 and 4 were the bigger ones. And you started feeling like, you started hearing all the drama that was happening. And I think it started to lose its luster. You said you watched the second movie yet? Because I have not watched the second movie. Would you recommend the second movie as a watch?
If you want to hurt yourself, I would say yes.
Do you like pain?
Yes.
Are you a masochist? This is the movie for you.
It's pretty bad. Okay. It's pretty bad. But whenever I do a rewatch, I watch it anyway for continuity.
Yeah.
Some people are like, it stopped after the first movie. I'm like, no. Second movie also counts as well. It's not good. But I still watch it.
Got you. That is the review I needed. That was the review I needed. And we probably will, because we also have to do things for continuity, especially Anney. But I feel like it's one of those things that we need to do as like to complete it. Of course, this is way down the road.
Yeah, when we first started this, it's 94 episodes without the new stuff. And then it's the 2 movies. And we were like, we're going to do it. I just think it might be a long time before we get to it.
We'll see how long we last versus that. But it is good to know, because I'm like, do I need to watch this as someone who was a fan and is a fan? Like, do I? But I'm thinking I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna save that.
Save that reaction.
That. Yes. Yeah. We're gonna save that to the end. Do you have other trivia that you want to share with us?
Oh my.
I know I put you on the spot in that one.
Oh, here's one. The episode where Carrie farted. I think it was an accident that Sarah Jessica Parker like crashed into the door or something like that.
She's running away.
And I think she legitimately like hurt herself, but they were like just that whole scene and like big like act like big laughing and stuff. They kept it in.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That makes it so much better.
Yeah. That's the good stuff. It makes it fun. And it's really fun to watch it as someone who's never seen it before, but I love like old school technology. That's fun. But also, I feel like I always notice the geeky stuff in the background that Samantha's like, what? And I'm like, there's R2-D2 back there. Well, look, that's the poster of Godzilla over there.
Was there
and you're
an
like,
R2-D2
you're
in
paying
this
attention
one?
to the wrong thing.
Was there an R2-D2 in this one?
There was, no, not in this one, but there was in the Timothy Oliphant one, there was an R2-D2.
Oh, yeah. You did.
I remember.
Yeah. Of course, because it was 20-something-year-old men all living in a very small apartment. Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't have toilet paper at one point.
Yes.
Oh, man.
That's amazing.
It's true. You go on these dates sometimes and they're like, my shower doesn't work. Here's a screwdriver.
Good
really
luck.
happened to me.
I remember I was in my 20s, but I think the guy was in his 30s, which makes it worse. I think I had taken a shower or something, and I think the tub flooded or something. And I said, hey, do you have a mop or something? And he goes, oh, just use the towel. And I was like, do you have any other towels? And he's like, no.
He had one towel.
He just had one towel.
He had one towel, and you were using this towel. Oh, no.
And what makes it worse is I believe he was like a celebrity fitness trainer.
Oh.
That's sad. Maybe they just don't get paid enough. That's one of those things you're like, this is not worth it. This is not worth it. Dude, go eat your cookies. Go away from them celebrities. They're not going to pay you. That's hilarious. Well, Jasmine, I have to ask, what advice would you give Anney as a newbie Sex and the City watcher for the future episodes? I know that's a very vague question, but do you have any hold on to this or just go along for this ride or any of that?
I guess I'd say pay attention to the puns in the show. I feel like they just get, as the series progresses, they get more and more ridiculous.
They do. You're right. You're right. Maybe that's why I hate puns, because they're so bad that you're like...
They're so bad.
Oh, I can't wait.
30 Rock did a bad spoof. But have you ever seen that 30 Rock episode where she's trying to be a Sex and the City girl?
I have not. But
and
I'm
then
going to now.
she goes up to these 4 girls who are absolutely supposed to be the representation of the Sex and the City girls, and the puns they make. She's like, nope, 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 and she runs away from them. You have to go watch that episode. Some of the things, 30 Rock is not one I recommend necessarily because it doesn't hold up well, but some things like that, I was like, yeah, that's about on point.
Okay, I'm excited about this.
Oh, there you go, Anney.
Oh, yes.
Oh, and I guess I need to ask, without ruining, what was your favorite episode of Sex and the City? Do you have one?
Of all time?
Yeah. Do you have...
She's asking the tough question.
I know. Well, because, it might be a minute before I see her again.
Oh, dear. I feel like it is a tie between... What was that show called? It was the one where they were talking about S&M. And I don't know if the episode was called La Douleur Exquise.
Oh, yeah.
Or Agony and Ecstasy, I think.
Yeah.
Specifically, that ending.
Yeah.
It's a tie between that and the season 4 finale, I believe.
Okay, I haven't seen that one yet, so.
Yeah, I'll just it's the song choice. That's what sealed it for me.
Oh, Anney, love that. Okay. And then the final question. Team Aiden or Team Big?
Oh, no. I dislike them both for separate reasons.
Oh, that's a new take. I like this.
But I will say, if I have to choose, it's oh man, I Team Big over Team Aiden. But if I have to choose, neither.
Neither, fair enough. Well, would you be like
Neither
a Team Steve or
Oh no, I'm anti-Steve. I'm anti-Steve.
You got some big takes.
All right.
We might have this conversation.
Wow.
But not here. Soon.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, clearly, people need to check out your Substack.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Get these hot takes. I'd love to have you back. Maybe the season 4 finale.
Oh yeah. Do you want to come back on for season 4? I think
I would love that. I would
right.
love that.
All right.
Yes.
We're going to keep that in mind.
It could be a hot minute because we're slow with these things, but
As you can tell.
Take your time.
It's been a minute since you put your name in, so I know.
yeah, but we do keep these things until all the listeners who entered. You can enter again. Jasmine, I hope you would recommend this experience to others.
Oh, no.
Oh, definitely.
We're going to find a Google review. Don't do this. Don't go on there.
10 out of 10. I highly recommend it. Yes.
Awesome. You were such a delight. Thank you so much for coming on and bringing your expertise.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is awesome. Where can the good listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Writer on the Radio. I also have a Substack. I have 2 Substacks. One is Writer on the Radio. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with that one, but the Sex and the City themed one is called The Black Carrie Bradshaw.
Nice. Yes. Definitely go check that out, listeners. And thank you so much again, Jasmine. This has been a real delight. A very nice Galentine's Day.
Yes.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Our friendiversary. Officially.
Yes. But listeners, in the meantime, if you would like to contact us, you can. You can email us at hello@stuffwillnevertoldyou.com. You can find us on Blue Sky at Mom Stuff Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff Will Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have a TeePublic store and we have a book. You can get wherever you get your books. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff Will Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts on iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.